I have read so many books over the last 2 years, and being able to read them effectively and efficiently and quickly has helped me to comprehend more and to change my life even more. A few people have asked me, how do you read fast? Do you have any tips? Here is the video for you. The first thing to do is to eliminate subvocalization. This is when you are saying the words out loud or in your head. Instead, you just want to specifically read. So when you're taking the book out, you are just going through and you're not like actually saying the words over and over or aloud in your head. Number two, this is something you learn when you are in primary school, but you can take your finger and you go along with the words. So when you're reading the words, you slide along. Otherwise, if you aren't having a pointer or something that is focused on the words you are reading and following along, you're going to lose your place. Your brain isn't able to stay as focused, and it's going to be more difficult and tricky to do. And so simply use your finger, or you can use a bookmark or something that will help you stay focused and on whatever word you are on. My third tip is to skim. You don't have to read every word perfectly, word for word. Go through and start and go, okay, I'm going to read this quickly, and just start skimming and start going through and then finding the parts that you like. One key thing that I like to do is grab a highlighter. I don't have one on my desk. Yes, I do. Here it is. I have a highlighter. I love these yellow highlighters, and I will take it and just highlight. And so I'm skimming, highlight important parts, highlight. Number one, this doesn't just help me read it quickly. It helps me to absorb the information. And so you don't want to just read quickly without comprehending or understanding or having the important parts. And I learned this from AP English. I have my master's in English as well, actually. Highlight, annotate, take notes. And so if it takes you a little bit longer, and if you're just skimming and you find the parts and you highlight and then you write like a note that stands out, or you flip the corner of a page, that's okay. If it takes you longer, but you are comprehending it and actually retaining the information, that's going to help you more. So please take out a highlighter, maybe have a pen or a pencil, write key things, circle things, mark it up and annotate it, and have sticky notes so that you can remember it. And then you can come back to the most important parts, and then you can speed read through and you can study those things. That is how I remember what I read, is I go back and study it, and I go see the key parts that I pointed out. And as you are going along, you're training your brain to focus on those key pieces of information because you're highlighting it and showing it's important. And so your brain goes, oh, I need to focus on this and remember this. I hope that helps. One thing that really helps me is to have an intentional pace. In anything in life, you want to be intentional. You want to do it on purpose. That's what intentional means. And so if I want to be a quick reader or read more fast, then I would need to be intentional about it and say, when I pick up a book, all right, I'm going to read this quickly. And so I start with that pace. Instead, I just pick up the book and I start reading. Of course, you're not going to read as fast because you're just picking it up and going through the motions. But if I pick it up and I go, okay, I'm going to go quickly through, you can even set a timer or do something that helps you. But really just telling your brain, I'm going to read quickly, I'm going to be intentional about reading quickly, you're going to read faster. Another thing you can do is put on an audiobook. So this is for comprehension, not just for speed. And so if you put on an audiobook, they did this in English and in school and in language arts, you're actually able to retain the information more easily if you read physically. You have your copy in front of you and you're reading it and following along while you listen to it auditorily. And so if you have it by reading and you're looking and comprehending it into your brain, you're also getting it in through your ears, that auditory processing, you're going to retain the information more. You could just listen to an audiobook, that's fine. You could even listen to a YouTube video or an audiobook on double speed and double time once you get better, or up it a little bit. I know I do that on YouTube videos. My husband's like, what are you listening to? But depending on certain information, I like listening to it faster, and I've taught my brain to be able to understand it and comprehend it. Sometimes you do want to slow it down. Please make sure you're not just reading through and like, oh, I finished my book really fast. Okay, did you do well? It's just like a student who finishes a test quickly. Sometimes they finish a test quickly and they still got an A+ and they did well, but sometimes you're rushing. So please, the information is more important to get and to absorb than just going through quickly. And I know it can be hard because you want to learn everything and you've heard, hey, you need to learn about this and learn about this, and books are powerful, so you want to absorb it all. So implement these strategies, but just kind of be on the lookout if you are actually retaining things. And you could even read quickly through, go back and see what you highlighted, and then write down or type up some of the key points that you needed to know. Or you could even, use AI and CHAT GBT for a book and go ahead and say, like, can you please give me a summary of the most important parts of this book? And then you could kind of preview before you read, or you could just look at that summary. Another strategy to retain information or to be able to read quickly is to understand the vocabulary. Sometimes they'll have vocabulary before a text, sometimes doing a preview, or even, like I said, about talking to AI and seeing the summary so you can kind of get a general idea of what's going to be talked about, can help you to be able to go through the book and understand. Make sure you're asking questions. This is important even when you read a children's book to a child, to be asking, instead of just reading them the book, asking them who, if it says Mary went to the park, say, who is Mary, or where's Mary? And then they'll point to Mary, right? Like, ooh, Mary spilled the milk. She was so sad. Why do you think Mary was sad that she spilled the milk? So asking yourself these questions or making inferences or hypotheses about what could happen can really help you to comprehend it and understand it more, and therefore finish it more quickly. I hope this video was interesting to you. I know a lot of you want to read more books. I have a ton of books and series, and I also walk you through with diagrams for some of the books because I think it's easier to retain the information that way, and I kind of walk you through. So feel free to check that out. Feel free to check out my page if you want to master your money, your habits, your mindset, your emotions, and to create whatever life you want to create. You can do it. I'm here to support you. Let's do it together. Good luck reading. Let me know how fast you end up reading.